Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second episode of CSI Dublin in Over Darkness, which is what I'm apparently calling this little segment of story we are running through. We have our two lovely victims. Did I say victims? I meant volunteers for the scene of Finley Weiss and Jordan Brown. They have recently been in contact with each other and talking to various other people about some of the recent goings on they've seen in the news and have considered looking into such things themselves. Now, excuse me while I go and chase the majestic space duck.
Quack.
So majestic.
Yes.
Take it away, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so Finley is going to he'll have given he'll have given Jordan his location because he already knows for a fact that both the Union and the Nefandi know where he lives, so he no longer cares about sending his message over radio waves or the telephone networks or anything. He might as well put a neon sign out the window. So he'll give you his address, have you come over. He lives in he's got good resources, but he lives in just a decent little apartment. Nice and cozy. First floor, but you know. Anyways, so he'll probably meet you at the door, invite you in, and the windows are all heavily draped and covered, because if he's doing shit in here, he doesn't want people to see it. There's also a large something that's, to be fair, it's roughly the size of a full-length mirror up against the wall with a cloth draped over it. And yeah, it just looks like something's halfway sitting in the wall.
What's that?
That's what happened the last time I tried to do scrying.
I'll look at it.
When you take it off, you find that there is a full-length mirror, or what was a full-length mirror. It's been seeping some sort of evil caustic ooze, in Evan's words, which burned its way through the floor and part of the wall. The mirror itself has somehow mostly survived this.
What did you try to fly?
That fire that was going on back at the that was before you got here. There was a very powerful mage who was attacked. I tried scrying the scene outside his church. And apparently whatever was doing the attacking did not like that and decided to teach me a lesson.
Neat.
So I'm going to try something different this time. Because, I was going to... If you remember, when we were at the library, Siren's place the other night, we heard about those interesting murders.
Yeah.
And they have some sort of effect on people. I don't suppose you're talented in keeping your mind clear.
Nope.
Well, I know just enough to keep myself out of trouble, so I guess we're going to see how that affects you.
Science!
Exactly. That doesn't sound dangerous at all. Just, All right. And let's see. What should I use to scry with? I don't have another floor-length mirror. I didn't want to go to the store and buy one. And besides, they're expensive.
A bowl of water will work.
Well, yeah.
It is traditional.
That it is.
I'm going to go ahead and turn on beer sight. And what do I need to do that?
Nothing, because you have a wonder that does it for you.
Oh god, I wonder.
Yeah, we're quite happy for Spirit Sight to just pop on with your Spirit Shades. There's your standard ambient level of spirits in the vicinity. They're perfectly natural, as in any city. They're all over the place. Big buildings like this entire blocks, you're going to mainly see the Weaver style spirits darting forth through people's internet connections, doing their business. None of them are paying any particular heed to this building at the moment.
I love those little data spiders. So industrious.
Give them a bit, I will.
They might look a little bit like this, and there's quite a few of them.
So cute.
Adorable.
All right. So, all right. So essentially, in the interest of saving time, he'll go grab a bowl of water and just place it down in the middle of a table. He's gonna look at it, think for a minute. Okay, that's step one. Let's see, how would I do this next?
I'm going to be nice to you and tell you, you have completely forgotten to do your spirit shield. You're not your spirit shield, your mind shield.
Well, he's not ready to do the casting yet, anyways.
Yeah, but I was worried that you're going to start doing your scrying before you've done it.
No, that would be a very short scrying. They'd be like, "Oh, so sad he committed suicide. What are we doing this for? I don't know. Close it." And later, just be like, "Why did we do that?"
Anyways, carry on.
Okay, so once he's got the bowl of water out there, he's going to do a little thinking for a minute about how he wants to get all this done. Thinks for a second. Opens up a small book that he's been. It's his. It's a little book he's got some spells scribbled into. He's been using it since the first night, basically. Looks over a few of the sketches in it and thinks for a second and goes, "Okay, I think I can do this." He'll focus, close his mind slightly. He basically focuses, closes his eyes, and starts his hands start weaving in the air in front of him, and he's visualizing in his head basically ribbons of energy, which in this case are bright white, like very, very almost painful to look at in his mind. And he's essentially, the ribbons in his mind kind of form a loose, almost like a bubble, or I guess, yeah, it'd basically be a bubble, which is essentially placed on his head. That's how he's visualizing this, and he's putting his will behind that.
Sounds good to me.
So it's not a rote, so that's +1 difficulty. We're not in a node or anything awesome like that, so it's going to be mind diff 3. It's still coincidental, right?
Yep, that's very much not obvious.
Okay, so that's going to be 3 + 1 diff 4. I've got Discord. Hold on. I'm gonna blow a willpower just to be safe.
Nom nom nom, your willpower sacrifice is appreciated.
So tasty. Okay. Let's see what I get. 1 success. I think I need more, sir.
Are you gonna okay? Yeah, that's unfortunately not going to cut it.
I'm assuming we're going to need +1 success or +1 difficulty if I continue for the second round.
I'm afraid so, because you didn't state that you're doing this into a ritual when you started.
No,
so
there's.
I'll let you move into ritualistic mode for the cost of increasing the difficulty by an extra 1.
Okay, so let's go with okay. Let's see, 2d10. No, I need the rest of my willpower for the scrying. Watch me botch it or something. Nope, 1 success. That's 2 successes.
Mm-hmm.
Still not much. 1 to duration is only like what, turn, I think?
Yep.
So we still need more. So he's going to be at this for a good, assuming a ritual in this case, it's a quick ritual, so maybe 5 minutes per casting, I'm guessing. I'm
happy with that.
Okay. So he's literally going to make you wait a little while he does this. Sorry about that.
He okay. He's standing firm.
You can tell that this type of ritual is a rather delicate procedure. You shield yourself too much and you'll cut off your senses from being able to perceive the outside world. You shield yourself too little and you made yourself some tinfoil.
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to turn the accent that if anything to go why? I'll be ready.
You're holding your
Okay.
action, basically?
Yeah.
Yep, that is a good idea. Should he accidentally, botch?
Oh, God. The
Activating
flailing. Okay. So, next round. Screw it. I'll spend 1 more willpower. That's 2 willpower so far. I was at full when we started, so. All right. I now have a grand total of 4 successes from all rounds.
Okay.
I would assume that if I put 2 to duration, that's scene, and 2 to effect, that's a decent mind shield.
Yep.
Not the most potent, but it's a start. Okay, I'll go with that. So he'll let the effect actualize after about 10, 15 minutes. And after that, he's just going to look at the water and be like, okay, let's see if this works any better than last time.
Let me just go and make my own die roll. Fortunately, I now realize there's an ST chat, so no sneaking sight of my die rolls now.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Is Sidekick in that chat?
Yes, he is.
Excellent.
Excellent. Okay, carry on.
Okay, so he's going to focus on the bowl for a second. And this is where I kind of get a little cinematic because the character doesn't actually have forces or matter really enough to do anything spectacular. So stop me if you think this is bullshit. But he's just going to kind of put both hands on either side of the bowl. And he's actually going to rock it slightly, like until there's like a slight swirling motion at first. And then once he's got like a solid swirl going, he just lets go, keeps his hands close to the bowl, and he's focused on it. Even though it should stop moving, it doesn't. The swirl is still going on. It should have stopped by now. It should easily have gone placid. It is still swirling. And that's going to be essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to gather successes because that is going to require a few successes. Because we're looking at 2 days ago, if we're trying to go for the first murder. Not sure.
That will be 3 days ago now.
Okay, fair enough. Facebook said 2. It's a liar.
Well, that you have to take into account the amount of time since I actually made the post.
Oh, good point. Okay, so that's 3 days. What would that be? There's a chart for that.
Essentially, the 31st, 30th, 31st, 31st. We'll just run with for now because I didn't double check my dates.
No, I was just saying if it's 3 days.
Oh no, it's the 30th.
Okay. So that's yep. So let's see what I got here. Casting magic. I know it's in here. There we go. Magical reference charts. Time. Time is a wonderful thing.
Time, Mr. Freeman.
Something along those lines. Times for your timelines. Within a year, it says within a year 1. Is that's for timelines?
You might need to refine it down a bit.
Yeah, that seems a little bit obscure. Wonder if it fortune from her. Nope, that's actually how it works. From what I'm seeing here, 1 success gets you up to a year. That's what I'm reading anyways. Times for your timelines. Not seeing anything else listed here.
Okay, well, that's for identifying. Let's run with that's for identifying where you want to actually look into it.
Okay.
So it is a recent event, so it is fairly easy to scribe back to that point, but you now need to make things more specific.
Yep, and if I want to include any extra, well, once I've got this effect active, I could always try and activate a third effect, that's fun.
Going to make things more difficult, but yes.
Yep, because after your stamina in effects, I think it takes you start adding difficulties or something to that effect. Yep, and my stamina is a 2. So yeah. Anyways, what he's specifically trying to do is to find the scene of the murder, to find a time just before the murder so that you can actually watch what happened.
And this is for the oldest murder, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, you know what to do.
All right, so that's going to be... see, come on, rolls. That would be, let's see, time 2, core 2. So it's... does this count as coincidental or no?
Yeah, I'll run with coincidental.
Okay. That's going to be... so 3 plus level sphere 2, so 5. It is a rope.
To keep it more coincidental, the sphere and everything is going to, the water is going to keep on flowing. But that's going to be more of a meditation aid because you're going to be seeing this more in your mind.
Mm-hmm. And since I don't have mind 2, I'm guessing I can't really share this with Byron or anything directly. Or can he see? That's up to you. I have no idea.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
But can you just tell me?
I can, yes. Also, Byron, could you reconnect real fast? Sorry.
No.
Darn it.
I would say if you had him, he's not going to be really able to see it unless he actively, let's say, you haven't actually joined in the ritual.
And I don't think he's joining in the ritual unless we were to try and do... well, no, that takes a lot more work to figure that out.
And it kind of removes the person watching your back at this point in time.
Yes, which would be a bad thing. Because then if I botch, the effects will hit him too.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want that. Okay, so...
but yes, you can always murmur what you're seeing.
Yeah. Okay, so while he's watching my ass on this, let's see, that would be diff 5. It is a rote, so it's not diff 6. It's going to be... I'm burning a willpower, and I will burn a point of quint. And actually, just to make this a little bit easier and more thematic, he's going to reach into his jacket, pulls out a small hand sickle, and he moves one hand from where it is next to the bowl, holds it over the bowl, and basically cuts his hand, inflicting, I believe, 1 unsoakable... I forget what level of damage it is. I just know it has to heal naturally. I believe it's not ag.
It's lethal.
Yeah. And the actual rules for healing it, there's a chart for it. It's like a day or something for the first level. Bruised is pretty quick to heal.
Yeah. But yeah, I approve.
Okay, so he's blowing a quint that way, essentially, so he doesn't actually deplete his personal pool. Takes a health level, and the waters will turn red. Or at least pink.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to drop it to diff 4. And as I said, I'm burning willpower. Rolling first round. That would be a 3 successes. Probably not enough, because if 2 for duration...
excellent start. You can see within your mind that the darkness within is starting to part, that you can begin to visualize over Dublin itself as time ticks to the time you wish. The backwards motion of the world is a little bit jarring at first, but you're getting closer. You're getting towards the time that you desired.
Excellent. Okay. He'll keep trying to extend it. It's going to be... He's not going to take another quint on this, so the difficulty jumps back up to 5, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I will blow. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. Now, sitting down, the water remains in motion. The blood mixes through it. It starts to take a little bit of a sparkly sheen to it, like stars in the night sky.
Okay, and I'm blowing what would be my 3rd willpower. So I'm down to willpower. I'm down to willpower 3 now. Think I should probably stop. This is addictive.
I do find people always blow willpower on my rolls.
Well, it's that or botch.
Mm-hmm.
That would be 6 successes total. I think that's probably good. I hope.
I'm happy with that amount of successes for what we are attempting to achieve. The flow of the water almost at once begins to slow and slow until it's barely rippling as you get closer and closer to the time that you need. You sense this name that you've read, and you use this name that you have heard and use it as a little bit of your connection, your idea of who this person was, who they might have been, to help draw you to where they were on this fateful night.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that the sun is just starting to step, and you can hear, though you know that you're not outside, you're clearly still in your room, but you can hear footsteps. And then as you focus more, the ripple of the water soothing your mind like a pebble being dropped into a pond. People start forming, motion starts happening, the vision starts becoming clear. It's a man walking back to not exactly in the smartest area of Dublin, but he's clearly walking back home. He's about middle age. He has a plastic bag in his hand filled with a few groceries and another plastic bag with a few drinks for the night. The moon shines brightly and has a reddish sheen to it. He remarks on it a little bit, and pulling out his key, he walks into a small kind of I don't know quite how to describe them. It's its own house, but it's where you got lots of houses connected to each other, like next door. Yeah, one of those. It's for someone to actually afford one of these so close to the city. He's actually got a little bit of money behind him. It's not a great place, but it's not bad by any means. Opens the door, steps in, clicks on the lights, and starts going about his daily business. He goes through his mail for a period of time. Bill. Oh, a letter from Bill. Goes and puts them over on the side. Walks over to the kitchen, pulls out a glass, and pours himself a glass of red wine. Clicks on the TV, rubs his chin for a bit, and you can see inside the house there's a variety of oddities. There's a workbench in kind of the main living room with a variety of very fine working tools, where it looks like he's been working on a particularly fine antique doll, the type with the porcelain faces. He has some paints and stuff prepared. It looks like he's been working on it for quite some time, putting it back together. You can see where there are certain bits of broken porcelain next to it that he's very delicately been gluing back together piece by piece by piece. And he has some resins to be able to put together something that looks appropriate to fill in for the lost pieces. And instead of going to the doll, however, he goes to his cupboard that he has nearby and pulls out a art stand and a bit of canvas that he's been working on for quite some time. It's a picture of Dublin that he's been painting. not the greatest stuff in the world, but for anyone that likes landscapes, that's is definitely the type of thing that you wouldn't feel bad about hanging out in your home. And the type of thing that you usually see in hospitals, that very neutral type of pictures, not there to really invoke any emotion rather than look pretty and have a little bit of awe attached to its kind of main centerpiece. And he begins getting to work. This is clearly a work in motion progress, and it's been so for quite some time. Mixes
question.
up his paints.
Is it possible, since the duration of this is for a scene, can he effectively like wave a hand or hold a hand over the pool to essentially stop the viewing, like not to get rid of it, but just like to pause, essentially?
Tell you what, you actually have time, so sure.
Okay.
I'm not having you added to the difficulty, but you know enough about how to influence your perception of seeing things to be able to help with the effect.
Okay. It's just like it's not so much he's experimenting here. He's actually trying to add on. He's going to try and do a third effect now to add on some sights, so you can actually see what's going on in a few other, shall we say, lenses.
Okay.
And what he's going to try is he's going to try adding. Let me see the most. Effectively, I'm already looking at time sight, but.
Well, yeah, this is already time
Exactly.
sight. Time sight is just going to allow you to go forwards and backwards.
Exactly.
Though not sideways.
Not yet. No, that's time 5. But yes, seriously, he will he's going to try and activate. Can I do say prime sight and spirit sight? Would that be doable?
Yeah, sure. Give me a roll for each. Let me just put in Jordan, since you are actively paying attention to what's going on in the rooms. You appear to have attracted the attention of the general small spirits that float around going about their daily business. They are inquisitive for what is going on.
Alright, I'll look at one. Can I help you, Doppelganger?
Well, they're not exactly talkative. They're more gathering. These are very, very tiny spirits. They're not the chatty type.
Alright. I think how to word it. Alright, gentlemen, nothing to see here. Move along. What kind of roll I need to make?
You want to try move them along. Well, you're capable of talking to spirits, if I'm looking at your sheet correctly. So you could make a social roll for it. Charisma, and let's say it depends how you're asking them. Charisma, expression, if you're maybe asking them in a very fancy way, like the very traditional way. Intimidation, if you're trying to scare them off. Leadership, maybe if you're trying to just suggest that they go back to what their duties are meant to be.
What do I need? What I roll at?
Discord. Aren't you already on the Discord?
Never had a roll before.
That's okay. I will add you.
I'm here, but I think I'm here at least. On me, like I got open Discord.
It's the Darkness in Dublin one. I believe I'm checking to see if you're on the
I do got burning a roll, so.
Let's see. Where are you? You're on here. Yeah. If you look at the Darkness in Dublin list, click on rolls, and you'll be able to see how people are rolling. It's /R, number of dice, 2d10, etc. Greater than, equal to whatever the difficulty is. F1.
Hold on. What do I get the most in right now? I got no expression. I got 2 leadership. I will try leadership first.
Okay, so you're essentially going to be asking them, go back to your business. You've got jobs to do.
Yep. So 5d10.
Yep, that's fine.
And then I do.
So it's /R 5d10, and what's the difficulty?
I'll make this one difficulty 5. It's not too difficult, but it's not exactly easy to, it's like talking to a crowd, except they're really, really tiny.
One success.
Okay. You get a little bit of the spiritual equivalent of a collective awe, and some of them do wander off, but the ones that wander off are also quickly being replaced. As some wander off, some come back, and essentially you're not having a growing number of them, but you've not really decreased the amount.
All right. Fine. Intimidate.
Okay.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun.
Intimidate. So that is 3. My totem add intimidate.
Mm-hmm.
3. Where's my thing at? 3. Where's my intimidate at? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, that's a pretty good pool.
It's a great pool. That's all. 8d10. 5 or what? What's the diff now?
I'll give it as a 5 again. I won't have a go up for a retry.
Oh,
Okay.
What that is?
Okay. You threaten to grind them down into their spiritual modes, and if they stay here any longer, you have things to do, and you're not afraid to use what you got on you to make them scatter. And very much the spirits do scatter. They're curious, but curiosity is not enough for them to actually be willing to risk themselves. They have better things to do. Though a little bit of a word of advice, which you can kind of get given to you via your totem in a soft whisper: always be careful when pushing around the little ones. They always report to something bigger.
Oh, fun. Jesus.
Okay, back to the vision.
That's a good part.
The curious ones have left for now.
yay! Fewer distractions. So, spirit and prime sight. What would that? What would the difficulty be? Coincidental in this case, but
let's see. Prime sight will be more difficult to pull off than the spiritual sight, because you're trying to look through magic with more magic. Because your vision is entirely made from magic inside your mind, and you're trying to then examine the vision with more magic. So I'll give that one a difficulty 7. It's not that much harder; it's just a little bit more muddy, and I'll give normal spirit sight the standard difficulty.
well, yeah, that's actually completely fair because it's not as if I used prime sight in the same casting. If it had been part of the spell, that'd be different.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to add it on as a separate thing. It's like trying to put sunglasses on over your reading glasses.
Exactly.
Okay, so you said that was 2 separate ones essentially. It's going to be
Yep.
let's see, 2d10. I'm not blowing willpower. What was the difficulty for prime sight?
I'll give it 7.
Okay, let's see if I can. And what was the one for spirit sight?
6.
Let me try spirit sight first. Nothing. Try prime sight at 7. I'll get lucky. 1 success.
Okay. You try to kind of draw that will to see beyond the usual veil, but you just can't bring yourself to do it and keep hold of the vision at the same time. You switch to the more comfortable flows of the various energies of magic that you've been working with for quite some time. That comes a little bit easier. You look around, and yes, there is a bit of energy here. It seems a little bit off, though. Like as if something had been here before, but it's not here currently, but it's still here.
Kind of like magic traces.
Yeah, magic. Yeah, kind of like magic traces, but also something that is not here, but here. With one success, it's rather difficult to be able to kind of push it further.
Could I try to improve it? I can blow another quint if I have to.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try and improve the prime site. That's I'm going to expend another quint point. Not cutting it out of myself, though. I'm actually expending my quint down to, I believe, yeah, I'm down to 2 quint now. That's going to be diff 6, and I'll burn a 4th willpower. I'm down to willpower 2. I can only spend 1 more. After that, I can't do magic.
Nom 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 nom.
That is 2 additional successes, so that's a total of 3.
Excellent. You can feel that there is a build-up of memory, of energy here. That's a very off-tasting type of energy. You can almost taste it. It's like spoiled milk. It's off, though not necessarily harmful in and of itself. It's just ew.
Unappetizing.
And you can smell it building, and it definitely has a sheen of spirituality to it.
Damn it! That means I have to activate Spirit Sight.
But yes, it is and also growing. You can also, with three successes, you can also pinpoint that there is more than one source of it. One source is near the person who has sat down now and is getting to work on his painting. One source is near him, but there's a few smaller sources just generally scattered around the room.
Oh yeah, I'm activating Spirit Sight then. He's going to, for this, he's going to take out the bolt. He's going to mutter over to Jordan and say, I've got something, but it's not a complete picture. I need to see more. And he's going to take out the sickle again, and this time he slashes his other hand, and it's a deeper wound. Like another, and that'll blow another quint, which will drop the diff to 5 for Spirit Sight, and also blowing the last he has anymore. He cannot spend any more without going, okay, what's magic?
Hell, there's a little extra bonus because the type of thing you're trying to look at is somewhat responsive to blood. I'll give you an extra bonus, -1 on your difficulty.
Cool, that means diff 4.
For essentially using an appropriate reagent.
Excellent. Okay, so that's going to be diff 4 with 1 more automatic success. Let's see if I can get a couple. 3 successes.
Okay, on top of your 1. Okay, that's pretty good. So yes, you look in, and now that starts forming, there's things on the other side of the veil, and they're making their way through. You can kind of almost feel and makes your hairs raise on the back of your neck as the brief ripple of reality bends as things from the other side make their way past the veil and into the real world. You can see that it's particularly focused near reflexive surfaces. So where this person has a mirror where the light shines off of this TV set seems to be where these things are making their way in. They are not friendly spirits. They are very much the opposite of anything that could be considered nice.
May I roll Spirit Lore?
Yes.
What would the difficulty be?
I will say difficulty 8. It's unless you have a specialization in this type of spirit. And what are your spirit specializations?
Spirit Etiquette and Elementals.
Okay, they are neither elementals, and if you saw them, then you might be able to see what their etiquette is, but you haven't identified them yet.
All right, so that's going to be, let me see. What's my intelligence again? Analytical, will that apply? Would analytical apply to this?
Yes, you're very much trying to analyze and work it out. Seems appropriate to me.
Okay. And you said diff 8. Let's give it a roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
just to jump back to you quickly. The spiritual in the area, the small kind of weavery spirits are actively leaving the area. You might be because you scared them off particularly well, but they don't want any part of this.
All right.
Also, I completely failed that check. Didn't botch it, but I failed it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've already stated what is happening because you failed, but it's it's hard because as much as you try and focus and you work out their very patterns about it, something about them defies the idea that they would be quantified so easily, that they are so opposite to everything that is good, everything that you feel has a proper place in the world. They are very different to, and that stench grows stronger. Though apparently the painter can't. He doesn't even have the slightest idea what's going on. And what is also making things more difficult for you is the room is actively growing darker. The light sources in the room are not that they're giving less light, is that their light is not spreading from them as effectively as they should. The shadows are growing and growing more and more and more. Give me a perception roll. Perception alertness.
All right. Hopefully, if nothing else, I can still see the magic and spirit traces in the room. But let's see. Perception alertness. What's the diff?
Difficulty 7.
4 successes.
Oh, excellent. On the very high end of hearing, like very high end, it would be easy to miss it. You can hear this kind of high pitched, very, very high pitched kind of near screech. That is like near like dog levels. Dogs are needed to hear this type of thing, type level. And the room goes black, utterly, utterly pitch black. You can still somewhat see the resident spiritual essence of the guy who's the painter, because everyone has a little bit of spirit to them. But you can also feel that the spirits that are on the other side and something else, something that is quite big, have entered this room quietly, yet bringing true darkness with them.
I
And
miss on it.
mm-hmm. And and yes, also at the same time in your main room, yes, Jordan, yes, the light flickers a bit due to the lack of the Weaver spirit in the area that help make sure that technology functions properly. Technology is not currently going to have an easy time working properly in this area. But don't worry, this will only your familiarity that little spots like this only exist for a short period of time. It usually only exists when something either startles the big one, or one of the bosses summon them, or there's a fight going on in the spirit realm, which happens all the time.
Yeah.
But also with your spiritual knowledge, you would also realize that it also happens quite often when one of the types of spirits they don't like is paying attention to the local area.
Hey, I say out loud, I think maybe we're being lost.
He just grimaces at the thought of that, like,
I wave randomly.
He's still trying to keep his focus because he's juggling like 3+ effects right now.
You are lost in your vision. It's going to be actually quite difficult to talk to you.
Yeah.
Now, to carry on with the vision, are you allowing time to progress slowly, quickly, or at a normal rate?
I'd say Given there's less input right now, he's going to try and progress it a little bit faster.
Okay. You're judging by your sounds and the movements of the spiritual essences, you can still perceive there is the most briefest of scuffles that occur. You hear the slight jingle of change, this brief scream, a muffling over it, like as if someone's been gagged. And some heavy thumps, a whimpering sound. The larger spiritual essence in the room seems to be more than you thought it was. Seems to move around quite rapidly, doing things you're not too sure what it's doing, but you can say that whatever it's doing is not nice, judging by this muted whimpering of this person wanting to scream, but he can't. And there's this brief impact, then another impact, something cracks, something breaks, and then it's quiet again, except for this muted sobbing sound. A little bit of time has passed, but you can hear this crack of bone, and then what appears to be the sound of painting, the sound of the inks and the dyes and everything all mixed together to form the paints, and then the brush on the canvas. And it's painting bit by bit. Every brush stroke, you hear this person, this poor person, wanting to wince, wanting to cry in pain. But he is forced to continue. You can see that the larger spiritual person, or essence, or however you want to really describe it, is pretty much got whatever it is wrapped around his hand and is forcing him to paint a shape, but you can't make out the shape in the pitch darkness, but there is definitely a growing spiritual residue growing in that paint. And then you realize there's a dripping sound, and you come to the conclusion that's not paint, that's blood. This will go on for hours.
Which, of course, since he speeded it up, it's gonna,
Yeah. Hours pass. It's been going like this. There's been a few odd scuffles there. This person has obviously had the living daylights beaten through them over the course of this, as he has been forced to sit down and do this over and over again, and nothing is letting him. There's a brief bit where the larger essence is distracted, but that's when the smaller ones take in and have their little bit of fun as they torment him and prod him to continue his work, to not be distracted for 1 second lest he be punished. And eventually, judging from the drip, the drip, the drip, you would expect that he is probably actually eventually bled out by now. And the sound of the painting stops. The little thunk as a powerless arm falls, dropping whatever was holding to the ground. And the darkness remains for a bit. You can see this almost caring essence, this very compassionate essence pick up where this growth of power was growing on this picture of a painting that was being made throughout all of this. And you can hear this almost sound of approval, as you would expect that is probably inspecting it. The sound of like a hand moving over the man's head, compassionately, caring. All this horrible things that it did, that very emotional build-up seems to be gone. It seems to appreciate what this person was doing for it. And then you can see the sound of a few things being moved, a couple of things being checked, a sound of a few things being packed. It's hard to tell in the darkness. And then you feel the essences are starting to fade, like they're leaving the area. And then they're all gone, and the darkness goes with them. You see the corpse lying on the floor. Clearly, it is bled out from its wound, which appears to be this horrible, horrible puncture mark on his left wrist. There's this black liquid that seems to be around it. This liquid has very much a not good spiritual residue to it once you've actually noticed it. It feels disgusting to you. It makes your skin crawl.
Just out of curiosity, because I don't know if this is purely your plot or if it's mixed with Evan's plot at this point. Is this the same shit that burned a hole in my floor, or is this completely different?
This is completely different.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes, this corpse doesn't appear to be holding anything. It's still dressed. You can see that there's a few rip marks from when things have beaten the living daylight out of him. The painting that he originally worked on is just casually discarded on the side of the room, but the painting that he has been working on these past many hours is gone. You can also see that someone went out of their way to actually break the porcelain doll he was working on, just as a matter of pettiness. In fact, the more you look at it, give me another perception alertness roll.
Okay. Diff?
Difficulty, yeah, let's go for standard 6. 3. You notice with any well-decorated place, especially one who was a hobbyist artist and an antique dealer, that you look around. Any antique that you had noticed previously that you would consider pretty, or that was kind of nice, or that's rather pleasant. Any picture like that, any photo that had smiles on it, they've all been destroyed. Anything that was a little bit more twisted, a little bit more, dramatic, dark, or bloodied. The type of pictures people have, like there might be a picture of like a war with the battle of people fighting over a mound, that type of thing. Those things are left untouched.
At that point, he's probably going to end the casting. Probably just by like putting a hand through the water and just
muddying it. Jordan, you can feel a definite presence is paying attention to what's going on here. On the plus side, quite a few of the small weavery spirits are actually coming back. It looks like the lights stop flickering. It looks like they've come back with a bit of a purpose. And they're going to probably start prodding things at this point. You yourself don't have a mind shield on you, but you haven't learned anything that you're not meant to know. Finley, on the other hand, is going to start feeling a bit of pressure on his mind shield, as these small spirits of various types, they're not just weavery spirits, there's other types as well mixed into the bunch, but they're very, very tiny, essentially go tap, 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 tap. Oh, damn it, shielded. Wanders off. Tap, 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 tap. Aw, tap, 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 tap. And it's just this, it's almost relentless because there's actually quite a few of them around, and they almost like they're forming a queue to go tap, 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 tap. And this is actually, and this is actually going to start building up over a period of time as repeated vibrations of these really, really tiny things will eventually add up.
I'm gonna look at one at you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? I do not recognize you.
Oh, Me? You have this small little spider, silvery spider spirit, kind of sit on his back four legs and with one of its arms kind of point at itself. Me?
Yes.
Oh,
You
I'm a memory sprite.
Whose memory biter?
I help people organize their memories
Well, you keep tapping this. Why?
because his memories aren't correct.
Oh, his
So
memories are. I'm confident his memories are very correct. Your memories are all correct, right?
He looks. He's. Do I still have spirit sight active or?
I'm happy for it to keep going. You scored a reasonable number of successes, and you've just ended one of the many effects that you had built up. But you don't need to necessarily end all of them at the same time.
Fair enough. Okay. He also dropped prime sight just to make it a little easier.
Good, because that strain is starting to build up with having so many things on the go. Typically, it's more difficult to do that, but I haven't double checked the rules yet, so we're just going to run with it.
That works for me. He's just gonna. He looks at the spirit for a second, looks over at Jordan, just says, based on what we were told before, this is what's to be expected. Perhaps they didn't perceive it happening in quite this way. But he thinks for a moment, pulls out a pad of paper and starts scribbling down notes from what he's seen. Do the spiders have any? Spiders don't give a crap about that, I assume.
No, they seem to care about you and your memory.
He's going to write down a detailed synopsis of everything he saw, and then he is going to just clear his throat and say, well, now we're going to see what happens when I no longer remember anything. Just be sure to remind me that what's on the paper is accurate. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. He drops the mind shield.
Okay, Jordan, you get the brief bit of that little brief mental prod is, of course, that paper isn't particularly accurate. This guy's been probably high, God knows what vision he's actually been watching. It could be anything on that piece of paper. And for my poor person over here, yeah, you can see that your memory and your perception of it is starting to be almost at once being deconstructed and reconstructed back to the truth that the spiders believe. So the first thing that's got to go is that horrible darkness and those horrible spiritual things. They clearly weren't there. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. This person, you kind of saw, like even like those little small bits that you just noticed of recording your eye. You can see that while they work there, do their job, they can see that, and your memory of certain things that you notice, like this guy poured himself a glass of wine. It makes sense that this person is a bit of an alcoholic. And they start building this somewhat of a picturesque of this man was a little bit down, depressed, and unfortunately ended his time, unfortunately.
Tragic.
In a rather gruesome manner. And you can see that the spiders are actually very happy as they go about doing it, because they hate it when things are wrong, because they know that this is the correct way, the correct way this memory is meant to be.
Once it's complete, he's going to, and this is because I assume his memories have been altered. He believes this is now the correct truth. This is what I remember experiencing. He looks at the notes and goes, well, that doesn't seem right. Flips to another page and writes down the new version of what he saw.
Okay.
The correct version, you understand.
Yeah, you can almost feel one of the spiders has a sense of humor and actually corrects your brief bit of a couple of times where you misspell something.
Oh, very handy.
But essentially, that their work is done. The main mass of them go back to their usual and official, jobs, and ensuring things that things are remembered correctly in an orderly fashion as the functions of how the human brain works.
So, playing this to the hilt, because it is what it is. He looks over. He's going to pull the two, different accounts off the paper and set them side by side. Looks over at Jordan, just goes, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense."
You kind of wonder if you have a gas leak.
Exactly. Be like, what I wrote down makes no sense. I mean, look at the description. It's like these spirits were dark. I couldn't see anything. There's nothing there. Then how would I know there were?
Didn't
like
you
I was
put a
rambling.
mind shield thing up?
Once
Actually,
he,
that's a good
dr-
question.
once you dropped the mind shield was when they started getting to work.
I know. I'm saying, didn't you put a mind shield thing up?
Do I remember putting up a mind shield?
You do remember putting up a mind shield on yourself. That is not in any contradiction to anything else. Plus, you've also heard that of other people investigating this type of thing. Mind shields were quite important. We've had a lot of pressure. Unfortunately, I will say now, you didn't give it a very long time. You dropped the mind shield while they were still very much there. They would have eventually wandered off and potentially come back later. But it's very hard to tell how these spirits work. The least spirits are very much not that studied due to the fact that larger spirits attract all the attention.
I did see the little memory spiders though, right?
Mhm.
Don't suppose I could get spirit lore on them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Laura.
That might.
I got that.
What would they're not elementals, so what would the diff be?
Because they're not a very well researched subject, because they don't tend to attract any attention, we're going to go for, let's say, difficulty 8.
One success.
Okay.
I will. Whoa. What I trying to figure out what my thing is. It's intelligence plus what? Spirit lore?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Just before you start digging through books and stuff for these ones, if you check the Fish White Wolf stuff, I kind of made these up myself. So
It makes sense. Sounds like a Weaver thing to do. They're calcifying reality.
Oh. 4d10 equals. What's my thingy?
That's greater than equals, and the difficulty is 8. F1. You only basically use the same formula every time.
I'm gonna spend a willpower. I don't know how to do that.
yeah, you just mark one of your temporary willpower off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pretty much just say it and keep track of it.
You know that?
Nope, you didn't write it right.
It's what? That's well.
Look at how I wrote it. Right above.
Flying. I keep trying to be like. Slash. Whoa. No, it keeps going back like game says. Whoa. No.
No. Just /R.
Yeah.
I am. It keeps trying to give me game tape.
When you do /R, it does that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll go and roll it for you. No successes on your front, I'm afraid.
Okay. I had I spent willpower, so.
Oh yeah, one success on your front. In which case, both of you remember just quite a while ago. You're not too sure when. Shortly after you got introduced to this whole new crazy magical world of a brief thing that you were reading, or maybe something that your avatar might have mentioned to you in passing, that there, with all the craziness and madness that flows in the spirit realms, there are quite a few spirits that escape notice of pretty much anything and everything. They can be powerful when given a cause, but for the most part, they help allow day-to-day life to function on at least one facet. You see, there are many facets to this world, and they're all true in some sense of the word. These ones, on one level, yes, your memory works in a way that is electronic signals being sent throughout your brain in a way of storage. Your memory also works through these tiny little spirits that ensure that things and pictures are as they should be, as they were, and exist in a place that the Weaver finds acceptable. It's also true that in a different reality, there is a book of which is your memory being recorded by some really old person. All these things are true.
I will ask I look around kind of confused for a few seconds. So why did you write the first one down for?
Well, according to what I wrote here, this is the version that I saw. But then again, once I let the mind shield down, this is what I clearly remember now. I don't remember anything changing. I remember the little spirits.
Maybe they've been messing with your mind?
Oh, see, I don't think, given the clues he left himself, I don't think it's too crazy for the character to think that's possible, at least.
Yep, that is a perfectly justifiable leap of logic, considering that you have these two things directly in front of you, and you also have the fortunate fact that it has absolutely nothing to do with the memory itself. It's technically a separate thing of realizing I wrote these two things and they're now different, but I had a mind shield, now wrote the second thing. You understand my logic here?
Mm-hmm. And so with the character. So he's going to just shrug and go, well, I'm guessing this must have been the quote unquote truth. And he points to the second one. This is what reality wants to accept. So something in there, likely those dark things, is not kosher.
Oh, by the way, do I still feel like we're being lost?
Not so much anymore. After it kind of left with the small spirits, mainly after that, whatever watch could likely have noticed that the small spirits got to work and did their thing. There's still a lingeringness to it, as if, you know, that thing where, like, when you hear a musical instrument make a note, there's still that after sound to it, which just hints that it could come back if something caused it. Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna mumble that we're watching you, and I'm gonna leave. There's nothing more left to do here, people.
Okay, in that case, Finley will wish you a good night and give you a copy of the notes if you want them.
Neat.
And I'm guessing with that we'll probably end the scene because I don't have any juice to keep casting.
It took a lot out of you to get it so far. I'm happy. I hope you're happy with the amount of information to effort ratio.
Oh yeah, definitely. Good practice also.
Good job for having a person to watch your back on that one, because that could have gone horribly, horribly wrong.
The spirits would have just carried me off like, no. All right, well, with that, do you want to do the outro?
No, you go ahead and do it.
Okay. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene in Darkness in Dublin, where apparently things like that do not exist. I just like to make that very clear. There, we're good. All right, have a good night.